So, this is gonna be a strange video, but honestly, I can't really figure out what else there is to talk about. Like, I was debating, do we want to talk about the Red Wings and the goaltenders for Team USA, because all three of them happen to have ties with the Detroit Red Wings? Could we talk about the 15th overall pick? But then again, we made a video about that already before the draft lottery came and went yesterday, and so I was kind of at a loss for topics, so let's go out there and talk about this. We had ourselves a post made on the R Detroit Red Wings subreddit that I thought was really funny by Drink Salt. Here's my first mock draft, assuming we stay at number 15. And with the 15th overall pick, which the Red Wings ended up getting, Drink Salt has the team taking Cole Eiserman. Okay, not a bad pick, a guy who might very well be available in the 15th overall spot. The Wings need a goal scorer. Eiserman's that guy. But then, at the 47th overall pick, Drink Salt has Tanner Howe of the Regina Pats heading over to the Detroit Red Wings. And then, with the 80th overall pick, the prospect here is Alexander Zetterberg. And of course, this is a pretty big meme, and I did want to go out there and make a video just kind of jokingly talking about this, because we did make Why I Want videos about each of these guys, Eiserman, Howe, and Alexander Zetterberg. And so when it comes to each of these three, I think there's a good enough conversation to have here in regards to how their play styles are and could they actually get drafted by the Detroit Red Wings and whether or not it would be a fit. So without further ado, let's talk about the first guy here, Cole Eiserman. Now, we've been talking about Eiserman a bunch, especially for Montreal Canadiens fans. A lot of people seem to want the talented NTDP goal scorer named Cole, because that certainly worked out well for the Habs last time, but Cole Eiserman happens to be a bit bigger than Cole Caulfield, and he scores quite a few more goals. He actually did break the record that Caulfield had set for goals in NTDP history. He had 58 and 57 this year, which adds on to the bunch of goals that he had scored last year, and now he's the #1 guy. But Cole Eiserman, as we have talked about in multiple videos, and even during the stream yesterday, he's a pure goal scorer, straight up. But his issues off the puck and his engagement with the game when he doesn't have it is interesting. If you wanted to go out there and say you wanted a quote-unquote team player, a guy who can make everybody else around him better, I wouldn't necessarily use those phrases to describe Cole Eiserman. And really, you know, you could say, oh, you're being too harsh on the guy. He's only 17. He scored 58 goals in 57 games. Yes, that is absolutely true. He is a fantastic goal scorer. It's just the way he scores goals and the way he demands the puck and what he does with the puck, what he chooses to do. I don't know how that projects into the NHL level. Like, when you think about a goal scorer who is as pure of a goal scorer as Cole Eiserman is, it becomes a little easy to predict when he gets the puck, he's going to cut in, he's going to shoot. When he doesn't have the puck, he's moving himself to open space, clamoring on the ice, trying to get the puck, and once he gets it, he'll shoot. When the puck is in a battle, he'll still be waiting on the side, he's waiting for the puck, and he's waiting to shoot. He just likes to shoot, and that's not a bad thing, it's just the magnitude as to how much he decides to shoot is so much more than any other skill that he has. So you kind of have to question at some point, where do you go if you take this guy? What kind of players are you going to play him with? And does that project into the long-term NHL future into being something that's worth thinking about? He's also pretty physical at times, too, if you like to see that. There are some moments that you'll catch with Cole Eiserman when he has that kind of red mist around him, where if he gets kind of pissed off, like, he'll chase hits sometimes, and sometimes it'll be effective, other times it's a bit irresponsible, but he is a player with a lot of tools. It's just whether or not you can bring the best out of him to use them. And for the Red Wings at 15th overall, I mean, I think the goal-scoring talent is enough of an incentive to try it out. I mean, for Detroit at 15, it's easier than Montreal at 5, for example. So if the Wings ended up going with Cole Eiserman of all people, that actually seems like a pretty intriguing move. But that's just one guy. Let's go out there and talk about some of the others, because Tanner Howe is a name that many think the Red Wings should draft as well. He's projected to being around the 42nd overall pick. He is a 5'11", 181-pound left-handed forward, and, as we had talked about in the Why I Want video, he was Connor Bedard's protege. He was over a point per game with the Regina Pats this season, 77 points in 68 games played. He had more points last year, though. Why is that? It's because Connor Bedard was on the team, and Bedard helped everybody else score points. Tanner Howe had to do all he did this season without Bedard and as the captain. There are a bunch of videos online, interviews of Tanner Howe talking about how much Connor Bedard and his friendship meant to him, and how Bedard taught him a lot of stuff, you know, what it means to be a leader, this and that, how to play, and it's pretty wholesome, not gonna lie. Tanner Howe, though, as an individual player, is a guy who, if he pans out, he could be a pretty nice middle to bottom six-ish forward, and who can make really nice two-way decisions for his game. If he keeps on progressing upwards with his offense, then maybe there's some top six potential there, but you know, it's easy to dismiss that idea since he went from 80 to 70 points this season. Of course, though circumstantially you can understand why the production dropped the way it did. But just in general, you know, the meme here is that Tanner Howe shares the same last name as Gordie Howe. So, of course, that'd be funny to see another Howe suit up in Detroit. But of course, I think at this point, the fact that Tanner Howe is not supposed to be anywhere near like a superstar, quote-unquote, makes me kind of wonder. Is it a good idea for the Detroit Red Wings to draft the guy who's literally having the same name as one of the best players of all time? I mean, Howe, Gretzky, Lemieux. Everybody talks about them, the big three, right? Is it a good idea to bring another Howe into Motown? I get it, you know, Tanner Howe is not related to Gordie in any way. He's not related to Mark. He's not related to any of the other guys here in that family that we all recognize, but still, he's got that last name. Will there be some expectations? Who really knows? So is it really worth it? That's the big idea here. Same thing you could say for Alexander Zetterberg, a really small prospect, 5'8", 159, whose consolidated ranking is 75th overall. If the Wings end up taking this dude, then there's an even bigger connection to a Red Wings legend because Alexander Zetterberg happens to be like the second cousin, I'm pretty sure, of Henrik Zetterberg. It's not listed on Elite Prospects, but there was a lot of conversation about this and people did their detective work. There's apparently a link here between Alex and Henrik, who happens to be one of the best Detroit Red Wings of all time. Now, I think it's fair to say that Henrik Zetterberg was no Gordie Howe, but they played in different eras, played different styles of games entirely, so I don't know if it's comparable. They're both good, both fantastic Red Wings of the past. Alexander Zetterberg this season had 58 points in 45 games played with the Örebro Hockey Club's junior team. He was a really good point producer despite being so small, and when it comes to his offensive ability, I mean, puck handling, deking, the way he reads the game, and his foot speed as well. This is a really small player that plays like he knows he is a small player. He recognizes the disadvantages that he has with his size, and he's worked on a lot of other assets like puck control, like foot speed, in order to compensate for that. Alexander Zetterberg might not actually become an NHL player because 5'9" guys rarely do become that good to make the league, but if there was anybody to go out there and exhibit that level of success to break through that, I mean, Henrik Zetterberg's second cousin sounds like a good bet. Not that Henrik was, like, this small. I mean, Zetterberg was not the biggest dude. Henrik, that is. He wasn't the biggest dude when he played for the Detroit Red Wings, but still, he produced, and he was good enough, and he was a two-way force, and he had all of these qualities to his game that made him valuable. And it was like that for years. He was an 80-point, 90-point guy for Detroit. So, not saying that his second cousin is going to have the same impact, but it's nice to have that connection. The question is, though, will the Detroit Red Wings draft Eiserman, Howe, and Zetterberg? If they wanted to, and all three of them were available, they actually would be able to and not look like complete fools in the process, because a lot of these prospects are ranked roughly where the Red Wings are going to be picking. But the question is, do you want that pressure? Do you want the 2024 draft to have itself this reputation of being, yeah, no, the Wings just went with the family draft. They just went full-on meme mode, taking Eiserman, they took Howe, they took Zetterberg. Do you think that's a good idea? And if not, whom else do you think the Red Wings should take a look at in this 2024 draft? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.